out for a couple games, came back, then went back out. That was quite a few games ago, but they lost some games in that stretch. They lead the league in scoring offense, are hitting 10 threes a game. Prolific scorer in Sanford. I mean, he's got his brother too, but him and Nick's are unbelievable shooters. And so that is going to be a big concern for us. Obviously, you know, Freeman's been out for a while, so they're used to playing without him. They do it by committee like we do at our centers. But Dix and Sanford are guys that can light it up in no time. I saw him take a 12-point lead or a deficit, turn it into a lead in about 4 minutes. So they're lethal in that respect. It's senior night. They got some good seniors that have been there. Michigan State comes in. We understand it's a big game. We understand that there's pressure on them, pressure on us. That's the nature of the beast. So we're excited and ready to go. Questions?
Tom, when you, you didn't know that Michigan was going to lose, obviously, when we talked to you last. And so, obviously, this is now for something tangible. And I'm wondering what discussions you've had with your team about the chance that you can get a share of it already?
You know, honestly, I didn't bring that up. I tell you why I didn't bring it up, because I want to put ourselves in a position where, you know, the goal is to win the games, you know, and we think we need to win the games, yes, to win the league. We think we need to win the games to better our chances and seeds. We think we need to win the games to better ourselves, getting better, especially offensively. So I said once we beat Maryland, we needed no help from anybody. You know, if we get some, great, but we didn't need any help from anybody. I almost like that mentality. Take care of your own business. Don't hope somebody loses. You know, do enough that you win. And that's the position we're in. So I really didn't talk to him about that. I don't think it's added pressure. You know, it's not like, well, if you lose, you got a chance to redeem yourself. I just said, hey, we got to play. We got to get better. We know we're going to have our hands full. I mean, even games they've lost, guys, they've been right there. I don't make teams better than they are. I don't make them worse than they are. This is a dangerous basketball team, and very, very well coached. Franny's a damn good coach, and so we're just kind of homing in on us and worrying about us, to be honest.
You've been a part of a lot of you've been a part of a lot of you know, epic wins, epic losses over the years. I'm wondering, the last time you were at Iowa was one of the epics on the other. Where does that stand out in terms of memories for you and the way that ended?
Damn, you're coming with a lot of great questions. You know, you think you're good enough to just win and, you know, worry about that. So that's a bad thing for me. And now this one is, think back when you lost 11-point lead in a minute. I've already not slept for a year and a half. You know, I just started sleeping over that one like back in November. So, I mean, you know what's sad is most of our guys weren't even involved in it. There's a couple. And guys, wins don't really stay with them as much, but losses definitely don't stay with them. Wins don't stay with coaches as much either. Losses definitely stay with us. And it happened the strangest way it happened too, you know. It wasn't even like like we missed a bunch of free throws. It was just they were making threes and we were making 2 free throws. And to his credit, they beat us. And I got a lot of things I remember about Iowa over the years, home losses. Fran's done a good job. So, no, I'm not, I've changed. Can't yell at players. Don't get upset with them too much. And definitely, I'm looking at the glass usually half full now, you know me. And so the glass is half full. If we get 11-point lead, I think we have a good chance to win it this time from the experience I had from the other time. 11-point lead with a minute left. Let me reframe that.
Obviously, the finishes have been strong lately, but the first halves could be better. How much of an emphasis has that been with your guys, especially as you know you're going to be seeing some much better teams?
I'm not letting you guys get to the negative side of me. You know, you're right. You are right. But did you ever think sometimes it's because the other team is pretty good too? And you all know there's times we haven't shot the ball as well. That's no secret. But I think in general, we've had at Michigan, we were up 16-8. Were you sleeping during that time, or were you there? You were there. So then the next 10 minutes is when we were bad. But you know, you know what? If we start down 30-0, we're behind tomorrow, and we win the game, I'm going to be happy. And that's kind of the way it is, you know. But I don't think our starts have always been as bad. I just think there's other good teams, and good teams are tough to play against too, and especially when you're on the road like we've been for a couple of them. You know, those teams get going too, and they got a lot to play for too. It's not just us. I mean, Maryland was unbelievable what they had to play for Michigan. So I don't know. You know, I'm making fun of it. Who in the hell said we're that good that we should go in there and dominate a team from start to finish? I sure haven't said that, and I don't believe that. But I'd like to shoot the ball better from the three. Other than that, I've been pretty cool. Our turnovers have been down. I think we're 9-something in the last 5 games. A lot more good things than bad things. So the positive dog is going to stay positive for at least till I get out of this press conference.
I got a couple of really positive questions. This is 6 or 7 times in recent weeks you've said we had a great practice. Does this team just practice well, and does success energize practice time?
I'm sure it does some, but it's still a grind. You know, there's pressure on these guys. I think they practiced pretty well all year, but like today I was impressed, you know. Now maybe it was smart. We gave them yesterday semi-off. And the 1 week, like Queese said, Queese walks in and, you know, how many practices today, coach? Just during break, there's no rules, you know. I said, shut up, Queese. And I almost threw him out of practice. But I'm trying to be the positive dog. I'm trying to use my intelligence a little bit more and not beat the hell out of my guys. But in all honesty, we got a lot of stuff done yesterday. We really did. And yet I think we saved their bodies. But at this time of year, you know, it's not always your body, it's your mind. You know, the mental fatigue of a season is probably tougher than the physical.
Here's an easy one. John Howe's been hanging around a couple days. He was at your game Sunday. He was there today. What's that like to have, in a bigger-than-life moment, him around and smiling and enjoying himself like he seems to?
Yeah, you know, John's been here quite a bit. He calls Mex and comes over, and John's an inspiration to me, you know. You talk about the positive dog. I don't know what I'd say if I was John, but it probably wouldn't be when I say, how you doing, John? I'm doing great, coach. Probably wouldn't be what I would say. And so he's an inspiration to me. He's a incredible kid, and I appreciate him around practice. I appreciate him around games. He's welcome any time he wants to come, as long as I'm here.
Tom, forgive me for delving into the realm of hypotheticals here, but you talked about wanting the wins in the next 2 games. I'm curious, if you do win at Iowa and you do clinch your share of the title, do you celebrate that, or do you just wait till Sunday when you can potentially win it outright?
Yeah, no, there'll be no celebrating for us in Iowa. We got a little tiny locker room there. We'll go and give each other a hug if we can find a way to win. And but there'll be no. First of all, I would never do that on somebody else's court ever. And second of all, too much respect for coaches, players, and fans. And third of all, you know, we have bigger goals than just winning it, you know, and winning it outright. You know, there's other goals that we have, playing better all the time so we get more prepared for the tournaments that are coming up when it's one bad day, one bad half, and now you're out. And so, no, you guys, there'll be no celebrating. That's not a negative. That's just the way I believe it should be. And I've never been a fan. I've seen it once or twice where people cut down the nets and things, and I would never do that.
I'm wondering about the complexities of this, the emotions involved in going to Iowa. One, obviously, they're fighting for their lives and getting to the tournament, but two, there's also been a lot of rumors about Fran and whether or not this may be the end for him. I guess I'm wondering how you kind of walk into a situation where the emotions might elevate another team's play.
Well, I think every time we go somewhere, whether we like it or not, whether I like it or not, the brand we've created for us has been pretty special, as evident by not being picked as high and yet being critical TV games and having your last 2 games on major networks. And so I think anytime we go somewhere, people want to take their shot at Michigan State because we've taken our shot at them a lot, you know, and won a lot of games. And so I think that's number one. Number two, senior night is always special. Doesn't matter if it's here at Michigan, at Iowa, or at Indiana. It doesn't matter where it is. It's always special. And those special nights affect everybody differently. But when I can sneak past 1 or 2 years, having had to go to a senior night, I always go, phew, that's nice, you know. But number three, as far as my friend, Fran is, you know, I mean, he loses his freshman of the year center, and people are so whacked out now, and including you guys. Everybody thinks that people are paying players, so you should, but what they forget is I was not just paying players, or Michigan State isn't, or Michigan isn't, or Indiana isn't. Everybody is. So there's a few advantages by some because of money they're spending. But in general, you know, you lose your freshman center, who was freshman of the year, you're probably not going to be as good. And now it's taken them a while, and I think they're getting better again because, you know, they've played some good teams right to the wire. They've still won 6 or 7 games, whatever. And I would be saddened if Fran, I ain't worried about him getting forced out, I don't think. If he is, shame on them. But I'd be sad if he decided that enough's enough, like a lot of coaches are doing, because he's one of the good guys. You know, his wife, I love her, his kids, you know, went through, Patrick went through so much. Fran ain't going out with a season that isn't superb, and in my humble opinion, nor should he, in my humble opinion, and nobody should even be thinking or talking about it, in my humble opinion. But this day and age, everybody thinks and talks about it, you know. If I lose that game, they're going to be thinking and talking that about me. I mean, it's just, we understand that as coaches. It's the nature of the beast, and it's not an enjoyable beast, but it is the nature of the beast. So I can't correct all those emotions, you know. I'm just going to have to make sure my team's ready to play the best they can be, and that's what I'm looking forward to. A couple more.
Tom, you mentioned the other day you were asked about, I think Graham asked you about Kohler and his performance, his rebounding in particular, and you mentioned his heart and his focus and the way he brings certain kind of energy every day comes to the facilities. I'm curious, how much do you think, what role have Doug and Sadi played in this development and kind of what we're seeing?
Yeah, I think
the rebounding and even the defense, the way he's navigating ball screens, that sort of thing.
They spend a lot of time with those guys. I think you're exactly right. I think my whole staff has done a great job. I mean, it's not like staffs before didn't. Certain times kids are ready to accept things, and they've gone through different things. And Shaman brings something to the table. Coop is way more mature right now. Book had a good day today. I mean, I'm not giving up on Book either, but Jackson, after the first year, you know, learning how to deal with things that he had to learn how to deal with, that kid comes every single day to play. I mean, we laugh about it now, but I think Doug and Sadi deserve a lot of credit for that. I think they've done a good job. We're really good on our ball screen coverages. We're rebounding the ball well. So they deserve a lot of credit for that. That's for sure. I'm too small to coach him.
Another semi-positive question. Last 5 games, I think three-point shooting's been 33% or above. 3 of the last 5, not all of them. It's kind of that turn that you thought might be coming along when you mentioned last week or so. Your thoughts on that?
I really do, guys. Listen, Jaden has learned how to put pressure on himself and handle it. I told you I don't sugarcoat nothing with Jay. He's a senior. He's been through the wars. He's smart as a whip. His parents have raised him well. What am I going to say? Hey, Jay, there's no pressure on you. You're shooting 20-some%. So instead I say, hey, Jay, you're shooting 20-some%. But look at this, Jaden. 3 years you shot 38% total. Let's take a look at your shot. We did. We feel there's a few things that he had to tweak. But I pray to God he keeps shooting well for us, but way more for him. Because you all know, you hear the rumors, who works, who doesn't work. Not that you know everything, but nobody in this building. Go see the janitor, go see the secretaries. All they'll tell you is Jaden Akins lives, eats, and sleeps in here, works his tail off. But it has come up some, you are right. And I said, I'm not going to be selfish. I think the last 10 teams I've had, we've been closer to 35 to 40% in the three-point shooting. I would just take the low end of that, and I think we'd be a much better team. And if that's pressure, live with it. That's where you are. But he's fine. He's fine. And we got some other guys that got to shoot it well, too, and I think they will.
Hey, Tom, you made it clear after the Wisconsin game, you kind of touched on a second ago, that there's still growth to have. You're not there. But I'm curious to know, about 30 days out, April 7th is that last game you want to win. Does, like a boxer, do you look at peaking? When is the team peaking? Is there such thing in this kind of space with the...
I don't look at that. It's a good question. I don't look at peaking only because... what can I do about it? Cassius's team was peaking at the right point, but because we had some problems early, he had problems. We were getting better. Remember now, we lost 3 out of 4. We know what it's like to lose. And I thought 1.5 of those games we played atrocious. I thought one of them I coached atrocious. So we've been grinding in this. That's what you're supposed to do at the end of the year. And if you're playing for any kind of championship, if you put yourself in that position, and I know Robin's up next, and I'd say this in front of her, I'd say this, that's our goal as coaches, is to each year be in the hunt in those last 2 weeks. Well, there's going to be pressure on that if you're in the hunt. And some years you win it, and some years you don't. But I don't look at peaking. I know this. If you think we peaked because we won 5 in a row, offensively, we're down here as far as I'm concerned, And that's not total offense. We're in the middle of the pack. But I just think we have such a ceiling to get to yet. But defense does win championships, and you still got to be able to defend and rebound. And our turnovers are getting better. That's an offensive stat. Our fast break has gotten better the last couple games. We had a lull in that. We're nowhere near peaking. I do think we have a ceiling to improve to. It's whether we improve to it that'll determine.
Tom, you talked about how you're not really bringing up the title with the team, but I was just wondering about you personally, how much, you want to be in this position, and you're in a spot now where you win a game, you win a title. How much do you relish just having that shot this late in the season, with all your experience in being in this spot?
Well, first of all, if I wanted to not talk about winning a championship, like I said, I've never been on Twitter in my life. Never plan on it. My claim to fame not on my casket, on my stone, is going to be never, ever, ever tweeted anything, okay? But everybody does it to everybody else. So of course I talk to my team about winning a championship because everybody talks to them about it. But what does it mean to me to be in this position at this point in time? I think if there's one thing that I learned from Judd, you know, and I try to sell this to freshmen, I would sell it to Adam. I would sell it to Robin. I would sell it to the younger coaches, you know. When you're a freshman and you don't accomplish something, you always say, well, I got 3 more years left. And Judd taught me that you never know. As we know, you never know how long you have on anything, but you never know what'll happen. You know, I said it before, if Kenyon Martin doesn't break his leg, maybe we don't become the 1 seed and maybe we don't win the championship. You know, you never know what's gonna happen. So I look at things as you get older, you can't say, I got 20 more years. And I could, who knows, you know? I know one thing, if I could do it to 90, I'd outlive most of you. I mean, not outlive, I'd outlive my job, most of you. But I got a couple young bucks that would still probably be here giving me a pain in my tush. And it's exciting to be in the position. I'm not making it a bigger deal or a smaller deal. I'm making it, this is why you came here. This is what we do here. We don't hang things of records. We hang things of championships. And that's the way I look at it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about a chance and an opportunity, because you got to have a chance before you can do it, right? So I'm excited about the chance. See if we can take advantage of the opportunity.
Time for one more before we get Robin up.
So just to clarify, you are going to coach here until you're 90?
Maybe that would be good news for you guys, or bad news for you guys, or bad news for fans. I don't know, but I'm gonna coach through this year. I know that.
I wanted to ask you about, you talk so much about the three-point shooting. How much has maybe the three-point defense help offset some of that, and especially these next few weeks, how critical is that?
It's a good point. But I like that. I like to do both. I like to defend it and score it. And but I think you're right. It's like, I was talking to a couple NBA guys last night, and they were talking about turnovers in the league, and somebody had just gone a game where he had 20-some turnovers, which is really bad in the league. He said the worst part is the other team only had 3. So if we're only getting 6 threes and the team's getting 7 or 8, that's okay. That's manageable. But if they're getting 10 and we're getting 4, then it's a problem. So our defense is important on that, but there's not a guy in America, you know, not Zebo, not Zach Randolph, not Antonio Smith. I mean, everybody wants to score a three-point shot. It makes you feel better when you do. You know, fans get excited about it. Coaches get excited about it. Players get excited about it. So I think it's not only a struggle, and, you know, then why you're talking about it. I'm talking about it because I always deal with the white elephant. And my guys know it. So we know what we got to do. We just got to do it. And I think they're mentally tough enough to understand it's not something we've done real well, but we are getting better, as Jimmy brought up. Shortly, you know, not in great distances, but we're getting better. And I think we're going to get better, because I think we have a good enough team to make shots. And if we keep defending, now if we start making shots and then don't defend them, we got a problem too. So our defense has been phenomenal if you look in the league. Our offense has been decent. We're turning the ball over less. Our fast break is still a big part of our offense. And the better we defend and rebound, the better we break. And if we start making shots, even this late of the year, then we hadn't peaked. And so that would be good. I appreciate you guys. See ya.
We'll have Robin up next. We'll have Robin up next, followed by players.
Thanks for waiting. We'll just dive right into questions.
So what did you make of the draw? It's not an easy one.
I don't think there's any easy games in the Big Ten. I think, going into the last game, there were so many scenarios. In fact, so many that I just basically said, don't tell me what any of them are. All we got to focus on is let's play good against Minnesota. And then after that, there was still all of these possibilities. So we're playing a good team. Well, whoever we end up playing, we know we're playing a good team. And at this point in the season, that's kind of the name of the game.
With Iowa, if it is Iowa, how much? I mean, last year they were obviously bringing droves of fans wherever they went. How much do you expect in Indianapolis? It to be a pretty big crowd for Iowa if they are who you match up, and obviously in their first game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see. They travel well. It's not that far. They have a great fan base, so that'll add to the tournament atmosphere for sure. I think that's something we're used to, though. I mean, all season long, whether we've been home or away, we've been playing with a crowd, which is I love that. I love that about our league. I love that about where women's basketball is right now.
The conference tournament is such a different animal than the regular season. You go through the grind and it all sorts out. Do you look at this as we have 4 days to win a championship or do something special, or how do you approach it?
Well, I think there's a few things that go into tournament time that matter. And I shared this with our team. One of them is you have to have a team that still really wants to play. The season expands a lot of time, and there still has to be a real enthusiasm, and we have that. I love that about our group. There's still real enthusiasm about competing and playing. And then I also think you have to be really good at what you're really good at. There's very little prep time, quick turnarounds. Teams, a lot of times, this will be our second time playing. We didn't, with the new league, we didn't play each other twice. So there's got to be an ability to make some quick adjustments, but you've also got to be good at what you're good at. And there's so many fluid parts of the game that you have to be solid in. So I think that's a bigger part of tournament time. There's not the same preparation time, so you kind of got to own your identity.
Is any part of it, and you probably don't address this tangibly, but you improve what happens the next week by how well you do this weekend? I know that's media talk, but can you set yourself up better for the future by winning a few games here or not?
Yeah, I think every game we have that opportunity. Regular season, I think end of the season is that's an important time. We don't hide from that. That is a for sure reality of the tournament.
I'm curious, these last few games for Julia, they're going to be some of her last as a Spartan, and I'm curious if you see maybe a but a sense of focus, a sense of urgency from her in these.
Who did you say?
Julia.
Oh, Julia, yeah. I think urgency is always really helpful, right? Even if you're not a senior, I just think having urgency is a helpful way to play. It's a helpful way to work. I think of that in everything, right? Feeling urgent, and I think our team understands that too. But as a senior, there's a clearer boundary right in front of you, and that's the hope.
Robin, I was wondering, based on your experience in the past, how do you approach either or, like a prep? Is it just 50-50 on each team, or have you tweaked that in the past in your career just based on what works and what doesn't?
Well, I think there's overlap. I think there's things between both teams that matter. I mean, both teams have good post play. Both teams rebound. There's some overlap, with the way we pressure. We've got to find ways to do that against either team. So there's overlap that we can address both teams. And then there's some specific things that, like we played Iowa, I feel like a year ago. So that was before Christmas. That was even before we finished non-conference. So that's a little different. Like even when we're different, they're different. Like there's been a lot of season between us. So they're probably a bigger adjustment from just from when we played them. We played Wisconsin a few weeks ago.
Robin, a lot of success. Year two, the transfer portal. How is it impacting your team, and do you have some portal principles you've kind of become related to as this season's been going on?
Well, the portal it's part of our game, and I don't think of it as good or bad. it's a big part of our game now, and I see a lot of great parts of the portal. I see things maybe where it doesn't work, but I also see a lot of places where it does work. For our team this year, the portal's been excellent. You know, we've had great additions as players and as people. So we address it with needs. Like, we kind of know going in what are important needs, how does that fit. You know, so much of recruiting is complementary pieces. You know, you can't have all of the same players. You need players that fit well together and complement each other. So that's how we use it. Mm-hmm.
One of those portal pieces was Grace Van Sluten, and she got all Big Ten second team today. Julia Aralt, who they brought up, all second team as well.
Yep.
And then Theron Halleck, honorable mention. I figured you could talk a little bit about those three and what has been so successful for their seasons this season.
Yeah, well, proud of all three. You know, I shared with our team after practice that they didn't actually add any more spots to the all-league team. We just added 60 more players. Right, so we added 4 teams, and 4 really good teams. I think all 4 teams right now are going to be in the NCAA tournament, but didn't actually add any more spaces on the all-league team. So to make the all-league team is really hard. They're really, really, really loaded teams. So proud of Grace and Julia for both making second team and for Theron making honorable mention. And, you know, I shared, if you look at the teams, the players on them are from teams that won. You know, so it's also a team award, because the better your team does, I think the more individual acknowledgement there is. But, you know, I know you asked about adding Grace this year was a huge benefit to our team. She's a worker. She's a great competitor. She's had a lot of physicality. You know, Julia, back-to-back years being an all-league player, I think that she impacts the game in so many ways. She's such a unique and tough matchup. And then Theron last year was 6th man of the year, and to see her, you know, get all league this year, it's good to see her being able to take those next steps.
When you talked about the Iowa game and how far away it was and the growth since then, I'm curious, what about this season has maybe prepared this group for elimination play and just the different experiences that you guys have had with some of these road trips and some of the games you've played?
Well, I shared this after the Minnesota game. Our last 2 weeks, all we've played is March Madness. We played at UCLA, at USC, Indiana at home, at Ohio State, Minnesota, and all those teams are projected in the tournament. So we've already had a 2-week March Madness preview, which I love that, because we're not going into tournament play with any false notions of what it takes. You know, you miss a box out against one of those teams, the other team gets a rebound. You take a bad shot, they score. So I think I like that we've had that, because we've been really tested.
You've talked in the back here. You've talked all year about how tough the Big Ten is. So for this group to finish with a chance to have a bye and among the top teams, what does that just say about the way they've been able to play this year?
Well, you know, I think what I've really appreciated about this team is, for the most part, we've been consistent. I think we had a few home losses that were very disappointing. But other than that, we've had some really good road wins. We've taken care of home, and we've competed against the top 10 teams in the country. We played them all on the road, and I thought our team did a good job of. We were in every one of those games through late in the fourth quarter. So adding 4 teams to the league was a lot. Adding 4 tournament teams was. You know, all of a sudden the league goes from being really good to, in my opinion, the best conference in the country in terms of depth of talent. So proud of our team for finishing in that top third, but obviously more work to do.
I debate the value of conference tournaments. That's neither here nor there. I know the fans love them.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, as a basketball junkie growing up, did you ever go to these tournaments, men or women, just as a fan with your popcorn and your cotton candy, just to soak it all in?
I went to the high school state tournaments. Yeah. We didn't get to travel to the Big Ten and those ones, but I did go to the high school state tournaments. Love that. My son's 11. Him and my husband have been to the first 4 a few times down in Dayton, which is, you know, same thing. It's really fun to be part of that. The magic of March.
Robin, your team's got 362 steals this year, and
Yep.
we've been kind of tracking along that 375 is the school record, and it was set by the group that played more games than anybody else in this program's history because they were in the national championship game. But I was curious if you could share, because all your stops along the way, Bowling Green, Ashland, always been able to cause a lot of turnovers. What is it about the makeup of this year's group that has them on the brink of setting the school record?
Well, it's a combination of style of play and personnel. You know, I've been fortunate to coach a lot of really really good defensive players. I think so often we talk about really good offensive players, but there are really talented defensive players who just have a knack for stealing the ball and being in the right spots and using speed. So I think that's been a combination. You know, this year we have 3 in the top 10 in the league with Jaden, Jocelyn, Nyla, and Theron. And I think if you look at them, it's a combination of, you know, we do pressure in a lot of different ways in the full court and the half court. We teach a lot around how to be aggressive to the ball. And so that's, you know, some of that's, they know what we want, right? And they know that we're looking to be aggressive. I think it's a math game. I always talk about basketball math. I'm not great at math, but I can do basketball math, right? You have more possessions, you have a better chance. And we've been able to do that in a variety of ways, but one of the main ways is turnover margin. So proud of our kids this year, though. I mean, I coached some really talented defenders. Like, I don't know they're going to steal it, and suddenly out of nowhere they come up with the ball. So we also are the benefit of having players that really can make plays. Go green. Thank you all.
What's up?
Jaden, you have a chance to actually win the Big Ten title, or at least claim a share of it, and this Thursday. How much is that on your mind? And I know that's been the goal all year, and now it's really right in front of you.
Yeah, like you said, that's been the goal all year. We going into a tough environment against a tough team, and that's just what we focused on right now, the game in front of us. So we're going to go out there and play as hard as we can.
Not to bring up a bad memory, but last time you went to Iowa was the last 2 minutes was wild, obviously. How much what do you remember about that game, and how much have you thought about that in terms of painful losses or bizarre finishes since that game?
Oh, yeah, it was a tough game. I mean, we had the game won and ended up losing. It definitely hurt to lose that way, but I feel like we learned from it, and we are a new team this time.
That game, obviously, Iowa just started bombing away late from 3. I'm wondering about this year. You know, everyone talks about the struggles you guys have had on the three-point shooting, but how critical has your defense around the arc been, not just individually, but as a team, and what has allowed that for this team to be so good at guarding the arc?
Yeah, I mean, just our defensive principles. We try to pride ourselves on defense, and, you know, that comes along with, like, three-point defense. But, you know, we're just trying to play as the best defense possible all around the floor.
Jaden, I'm not sure if we'll get to catch up with you before senior day, but I'm curious if you could reflect on maybe your 4 years here and kind of the growth and what you've seen here.
Yeah, I mean, the times went by really fast. I feel like I've enjoyed the journey, enjoyed the relationships that I made, and, you know, I'm just trying to end it the right way.
Jaden, I noticed at practice today you hit a couple of shots and you let out a yell and a fist pump, and Sunday when you're on a roll, it's like you wanted the ball. Even after a miss, you got it back and nailed a jumper. Are you feeling that it's getting there now, and, like, give me the ball, I feel like it's there now?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't feel like I'm letting anything affect me. I'm just focused on the next play, and, you know, things feel good right now.
You kind of talked on this being your senior year. Some of the stuff you're used to. So what's new, like, about this experience now, and what's a little bit of the same, like, right around this time of year?
What's new is that, like, we're in the hunt for a championship at this point in the season. So that's something that, you know, I'm really proud of our team about, and we just got to stay hungry. And, I mean, things are the same is, you know, it's March now. Everybody's locked in and focused, and just focus on winning games.
Jaden, when you mentioned earlier ending it the right way, and I think that's in reference to the championship and the rest of the way here, but I'm curious, how much was there a sense of maybe duty or obligation that you felt going into this season to be in this position?
Definitely felt an obligation. I mean, coming in, you always see the winning culture here, and you just want to kind of continue that forward. So I'm just trying to win as many games as possible before my time is done.
Jaden, I'm wondering, what do you think it is about this team where, whether you guys had the big winning streak earlier, this one you're on right now, what is it about this team where it seems like you guys have done a pretty good job sort of keeping your eye on the ball when there's something at stake and whatnot, and just staying locked in game to game, I guess. Where's that come from with this team?
Yeah, I feel like everyone is just on the same page. I feel like we playing desperate. Everybody's on the same page and wants to win and do something special. So that's all that's on our minds.
I'm wondering if you could think back to the Indiana game. Obviously, last time you guys did lose a game. What stands out about that? Was it something in preparation? Was it just 40 minutes of bad basketball that day? Like, what do you think about when you think about that day and how you guys can try to avoid that type of situation?
Yeah, I feel like we just didn't play our best basketball, and we didn't play our best defense that day either. So, it was a tough game, and I feel like we've learned from that, and we move forward.
I think your dad was at practice on Friday. Does that happen very often? Did you know he was going to be there? How does that make you feel? Was that a little different?
Yeah, no, I mean, he never come to practice. It was a surprise, so it was just cool. He was just trying to hang out with me for a little bit, so that was cool.
Izzo said that you tweaked a couple things on your shot to bring it back in, and it does look better in the release and the arc and everything. Can you tell us some of the changes that were made, if you don't mind, or you can keep that secret if you want?
I'm just trying to shoot the ball with confidence. Don't aim the ball to shoot it, and shoot it with arc, and then give it a better chance to go in. So that's what I'm trying to do.
One more thing. The defensive backcourt yourself, Holloman, Fears, and Richardson coming along. Is this the best defensive backcourt you've been a part of at Michigan State? And if so, what's that like in terms of team confidence? What does that do for you?
I feel like it is the best defensive backcourt because just like our depth that we have at that position. And I feel like everybody's locked in on that side of the court. So I feel like it's definitely the deepest backcourt.
Does that feed off itself once you guys get going? Does that snowball a little bit?
Definitely. I mean, getting stops or stringing stops together and then like being able to get out and run or just, have a good solid offense after a defensive play. I feel like it just kind of fuels the defense even more to do it again.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll have Carson up here.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Jay.
Hey.
Hey, Carson, I was just wondering, you get to the point where you win one game and you can win a title, what's the mentality like when you're that close at the, coming down the stretch of the season?
Yeah, I think for us right now, the attention to detail is probably at an all-time high, especially Iowa. You can't look past them, even though they're not playing great basketball right now because of what they've been able to do with us the last couple of years. It really makes it personal for us. I think none of us are really looking past that, looking more towards the after effect than what the actual game is. But the attention to detail, like I said, is there, and we've seen that the last 2 days so far.
Carson, what are the sort of ways that you guys keep focus on sort of one game at a time? Because I know Big Ten Championship isn't something that everyone gets a chance to compete for, and it's something I'm sure you guys look forward to. So how do you keep the focus on one thing?
I think Coach does a really good job of making sure that, when we move on to the next game, we get all that out of our system right away. The day after, we kind of go through the game plan, what we had the last game, things we did well, things we did good, things we did bad, kind of learn from it and get better right away, and then immediately move on to the next game and not kind of worry too much about, doing too much about the past or the past game. Being able to do that right away and get that out of the way quick and then focus on the next game is huge.
Carson, being a veteran, at this point in the season, what role does mental and physical fatigue play? How do you address that?
Yeah, it's a huge factor for sure, and I think it's tough for the coaches and stuff. I feel like it is every year to kind of manage that and then also be able to practice hard. Right now, I think everyone being able to have numbers, we're definitely in better shape than some of these other teams are, where they have teams that are guys that are playing 35 to 40 minutes a game. With us being able to play and have more versatility with the strength and numbers that we have, we're able to stay more healthy, but also we have a lot of support staff that keeps us, healthy and make sure we're still getting stronger, but staying healthy. So, yeah.
Along with that, this Iowa team likes to get things going and get things moving. When you talk about the depth and everything, how much do you feel like that's going to be tested in this game?
Yeah, I think it will for sure. They play, they're the fastest team in our league, and that's saying something because obviously we like to run too. But we're not looking past the fact that they can score, 100 points at any given night with those guys and how fast they can shoot the ball and score the ball. We can have the best defense in the world, but they will come down and get a 2-pointer. They're focusing on where they can get their next 3. So for us, being able to, kind of what you pointed at, staying in shape and staying healthy, so we have guys that are ready to come off the bench and play hard is huge. So,
Carson, I know you obviously don't want to get content at this point in the season, but have you been able to just kind of sit and digest, what you guys have been able to do and what you're on the brink of?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's amazing. It's pretty cool to be in this position. Obviously there's not many teams that get to experience that, and not many players that get to experience this in their 4-year tenure at their school. And I think it's really cool. But also, obviously we're not done yet. But also it's, I love that we were able to, build with one another and continue to build throughout the year to get to this place. So.
Following up on that, still, the championships are championships. It's a big deal here.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Izzo just said that you never know if you're going to get another opportunity. You have 2 games now to do something special. How much do you guys talk about that? What's it mean to you to be on the brink?
Yeah, I think we have a text in our group chat every night. At least somebody always texts in our group chat like we're 1 or 2 games away. I think we were saying that probably for the last 5 games. Like, hey, we're one game, 2 games, 3 games, stuff like that is so important because everyone knows the intensity that we need to bring and the intensity and the way that we all approach every day in practice. It's got to be the same as it was all year, and not to get complacent. But also with having different guys kind of reach out and understand the position that we're in is huge because it's not just the one guy or me or Jaden or the veterans that want this as much as the younger guys.
Speaking of that, I've been around a few years because I'm old. I can't remember Tom Izzo saying we had a great practice today as many times as he has this year, and he said it again today. What's that about? Does this team like to practice, or what is that all about?
I think practicing is, I know practice is a lot more fun when we're winning. Stuff like obviously practicing after a good win is always a lot more fun than practicing after a bad loss. So right now it's fun to be able to approach every game with the position that we're in and with the guys that we're in, being able to have fun and then also still, prep for a championship. I think it's unexplainable. It's amazing that you can have guys lock in, but also be able to have some fun and make sure that we still get the job done. So.
Carson, I don't think you played a whole lot the last time. With the game you guys went to Iowa and the last-minute sort of collapse deal there. I'm just wondering what you remember about watching it, though, and if that's a lesson or something you bring up this week at all.
Yeah, right after Wisconsin, I sent the screenshot of the final score to the group chat for the new guys and some of the younger guys to really understand the impact this game has and how personal it is because I still remember we were trying to get Steven and Davis and Nick in at the end of that game where there was a minute left and I think we were up 11 or 12 and next thing I know we're it's a tie game or we're up by 3 or something like that. But yeah, that one hurt, especially the after effect with that's probably one of the worst losses Coach has ever had since he's been here, and the worst collapses that we had. But that just brings our intensity up and the personal level even more. So we got some get back to go. So.
Anything else for Coop?
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. That's it. Appreciate the flexibility, guys. I'll see you guys Thursday?